let us learn the definition of primitive, which will help in proving this fundamental theorem of integral calculus. Okay? So, if f is Riemann integrable, right? If f is Riemann integrable, then lower Riemann integrability of f will be equal to upper Riemann integrability of f, right? Right. Next, and if there exists a function phi which is defined from closed interval a comma b to real number set R such that the differentiation of phi with respect to x is equal to f of x for every x belongs to closed interval a comma b, then phi is called a primitive or antiderivative of f. Right. So let us take an example of phi where such that phi dash of x is equal to f of x. Right. If I take this phi of x, phi of x is equal to x square, phi of x equal to x square for every x belongs to close interval. I take it as 1 comma 4, 1 comma 4 for every x belongs to 1 comma 4. Then what is phi dash of x? What is phi dash of x? It is equal to 2x, right? It is equal to 2x. And let us define a function f of x which is equal to 2x, right? For every x belongs to the same closed interval, for every closed interval 1 comma 4, right? For every x belongs to the same closed interval 1 comma 4, right? Now see here, if you observe carefully, phi is a function which is equal to x square and it is defined on the closed interval 1 comma 4, and in the same way phi dash of x is equal to 2x and f of x is equal to 2x, which is defined on the closed interval x belongs to 1 comma 4. Therefore phi dash of x is equal to f of x, and therefore phi, what is phi? X square. Phi is called primitive or antiderivative of f of x, antiderivative of f of x, right? So it is the definition and it is the example of primitive of a function f. Now let us move on to the theorem. Let us move on to the theorem, right? Fundamental theorem of integral calculus. Fundamental theorem of integral calculus. Right now. Now see here. What does this state? Now, let us see the statement. If f belongs to R of closed AB, means f is integrable. F is lower Riemann integrable and upper Riemann integrable, and phi is a primitive of f. Phi is a primitive of f. That is, phi of x is equal to x square. Right? It is an example. Phi dash of x is equal to 2x and f of x is equal to 2x. Then therefore, phi of x, which is equal to x square, is the primitive of f of x, the primitive of f of x. Then we have to prove that integral over a to b f of x dx is equal to phi of b minus phi of a, phi of b minus phi of a, right? Now let us start the proof. Let us start the proof. Now since phi is a primitive of f on closed interval a comma b, therefore we have phi dash of x equal to f of x for every x belongs to closed interval a comma b, for every x belongs to closed interval a comma b. That is, phi dash of a is equal to f of a, right? Phi dash of a will be equal to f of a, right? And in the same way, for every x value, right, phi dash of that particular value of x will be equal to f of that particular value of x, right? So I have written for phi dash of a is equal to f of a and phi dash of b is equal to f of b, and the same conditions will be satisfied by every value which is lying in between a and b, right? A comma b, close interval a comma b. This condition is being satisfied by the point at x is equal to a, at point x is equal to b, and at the point which are lying in between a and b, right? Therefore, now since f belongs to Riemann integrability of closed interval a comma b, for partition p is equal to a equal to x naught, x1, so on up to xn is equal to b of closed interval a comma b, right? And xr minus 1 is lesser than or equal to xi r. Xi r lesser than or equal to xr for every r equal to 1, 2, 3 and so on up to n. Right? Since f belongs to Riemann integrability on closed interval a comma b for partition p, right, of closed interval a comma b, and xr minus 1 is lesser than or equal to xi r less than or equal to xr for every r equal to 1, 2, 3 and so on. Now if I take, or if we take a value xi r which is in between xr minus 1 and xr in rth segment of this partition, then this condition will be satisfied. What is that condition? Limit norm p tends to 0, summation r equal to 1 to n, f of xi r into delta r is equal to integral over a to b f of x dx. Integral over a to b f of x dx. Right. Let us see what does this mean. Right. So since f is Riemann integral, right, now I will clear all the drawings and I will explain you. Since f is Riemann integral, now I am going to explain this step, right? This step. Now, so observe carefully, right? Since f is Riemann integral, therefore integral over a bar to b f of x dx will be equal to integral over a to b bar integral over a to b bar f of x dx, right? And therefore for partition p, if I take a partition p is equal to, see here, I am taking a partition on real number line, and what he is saying is if we take the norm p which is very near to 0, which is very near to 0, right? Now I decide that the norm p, I decide that norm p is equal to some 0.1, some 0.1, right? That is the maximum of lengths of all segments in this partition p will be equal to 0.1, and the rest of the lengths of all segments will be lesser than this 0.1, right? So I will take the first segment. The first segment takes the endpoints as a equal to x naught, a equal to x naught, and here we take it as x1, right? And in between x naught and x1 there exists a point, xi1, there is a point xi1. And if we go on take the points in this manner, if I take this r segment and the first endpoint is xr minus 1 and the next endpoint is xr, and in between these 2 points there exists a point xi r, there exists a point xi r, and so on. If we go on take the points in the nth segment in, nth segment in, right, we get xi n, we get xi n, right, in between x n minus 1 and in between x n, right? So what will happen next? What will happen next? See here, for r equal to 1, that is in first segment, that is in between x naught and x1, there exists a xi1, there exists a xi1, right? And for r equal to 2, there exists xi2 in between x1 and x2, right? And if we go on right in this manner, there exists a point xi r in between xr minus 1 and xr, that is in rth segment ir, that is in r segment ir, it is first segment i1, first segment i1, and so on. If we take for r equal to n, that is in nth segment, there exists a point xi n in between xn minus 1 and xn minus 1 and xn in nth segment in, right? Now what will happen for these points, right? If we observe the value of norm p, that is if we go on find out the length of each segment, the maximum length of the segments will be 0.1, and the length of the rest of the segments will be lesser than this 0.1, right? Then what will happen? If we find out summation r equal to 1 to n f of xi r into delta r, f of xi r into delta r, that means if I take f of 1 into length of first segment delta 1 plus f of xi2, sorry, f of xi2, right, f of xi2 into delta 2, it is xi1, right? if it is xi1, f of xi1 into delta 1 plus f of xi2 into delta 2 and plus so on plus f of xir, right? F of xir into delta r and plus so on plus f of xi n, f of xi n into delta n, right? What is f of xi1? F of xi1 is nothing but function value of f at the point xi1 which is existing in between x0 and x1. And what is xi2? F of xi2, what is f of xi2? F of xi2 is nothing but it is a function value of f at the point xi2, where xi2 is a point which is lying in between x1 and x2, that is in second segment I2, right? And in second segment I2. And what is f of xir? F of xir means the function value of f at the point xir which is existing in between xr minus 1 and xr of r segment ir, and plus so on plus f of xin. F of xin means the function value of f at point xin, where xin is a point in between xn minus 1 and xn of nth segment in, right? And what are delta 1, delta 2, so on up to delta r and so on up to delta n? These are all lengths of every sub intervals, right? Whole of this value will be equal to integral over a to b f of x dx, right? It is possible when this norm p is very near to 0. Norm p means the maximum of all lengths of all sub intervals, right? Right now, so with this we have brought this equation 2. The equation 2 is stating that as we take the summation of all these product f of xi r into delta r for norm p which is very near to 0, then whole of this value will be equal to integral over a to b f of x dx, integral over a to b f of x dx. And here phi dash of x will f of x is taken as equation 1, right? So till now we have shown that as limit norm p is tending to 0, summation of r equal to 1 to n f of xi r into delta r is equal to integral over a to b f of x dx, right? So we have numbered this as equation 2, right? And if we proceed further for proving this integral over a to b f of x dx equal to phi of b minus phi of a, let us go ahead for the next step, right? So what is the next step? As in given this phi dash of x is existing and it is equal to f of x, right? So it is derivable. Phi is derivable on closed interval a comma b. That is we have written here as phi is derivable on closed interval a comma b, right? So what will happen next? As phi is derivable by the properties of derivability of the given function phi on closed interval a comma b, phi will be continuous on closed interval a comma b. Phi will be continuous on closed interval a comma b, right? So what does this mean? This means that limit of phi at x is tending to a will be equal to phi of a, and so on. Limit phi as x is approaching b, will be equal to phi of b, right? All of these conditions will be satisfied by the points which are lying in between x is equal to a and x is equal to b. Therefore, limit of phi will be equal to phi of a at as x is approaching a. Limit of phi will be equal to phi of b at as x is approaching b, right? And this condition will be satisfied by all the values of x which are lying in between x and a and b, right? Therefore, phi is continuous, phi is derivable on closed interval a comma b. Therefore, by Lagrange's mean value theorem, there exists a point xi r in open interval xr minus 1 comma xr in such a way that phi dash of xi r will be equal to phi of xr minus phi of xr minus 1 by xr minus xr minus 1. So what does this mean? Let me explain you, right? Now if I take a real number line as the given function phi is continuous on closed interval a comma b, derivable on closed interval a comma b. Therefore, by Lagrange's mean value theorem, in every segment of partition, there exists a point. See here, in first segment, there exists a point xi1. it is I1, right? And here we take it as x is equal to, sorry, x naught is equal to a and x1. X naught is equal to a and x1. The first endpoint of first segment and next endpoint of next segment, right? It is I1, the first segment I1, right? And in second segment, there exists a point xi2 in x1 and x2 and so on. If I take R segment here, xr minus 1, and here we take xr, and it is R segment, and in this R segment there exists a point xi r in between xr minus 1 and xr, in between xr minus 1 and xr, and in nth segment, that is in x minus 1 comma xn is equal to b, that is b equal to xn, right? There exists a point, xi n in nth segment in, right? So see here, by Lagrange's mean value theorem, in every segment there exists a point xi1 in first segment, xi2 in the second segment, right? And so on, xi r in R segment and xi n in nth segment, in such a way that if I take the R value for one, this condition, that is phi dash of xi r will be equal to phi of xr minus 1 by xr minus xr minus 1, xr minus xr minus 1, right? So what does this mean? This means that at first point xi1 in I1, the first segment I1, this condition will be satisfied, that is phi dash of xi1, right? Phi dash of xi1 will be equal to phi of x1 minus phi of x naught by x1 minus x naught, that is what condition will be satisfied for r equal to 1. This is the condition will be satisfied at r equal to 1, that is in first segment I1 there is a point xi1 in between x0 and x1 which satisfies the condition phi dash of xi r equal to phi of xr minus 1 by xr minus xr minus 1. That means instead of r, if we take r equal to 1, then phi dash of x1 minus phi dash of x0 by x1 minus x0 will be equal to phi dash of xi1, right? So it is for the first point, that is xi1, and if we go on right in this manner, the last point xn, at this point xn also this condition will be satisfied, so on. So see here, this phi dash of xn, right? Phi dash of xn will be equal to phi of, right, phi of xn minus phi of xn minus 1 by xn minus xn minus 1. All these conditions are being applied as phi is continuous and derivable on closed interval a comma b. Therefore phi is continuous and derivable on every segment xr minus 1 comma xr for every r equal to 1, for every r equal to 2, for r equal to 3, and so on up to r equal to n. That is, in first segment I1 phi is continuous and derivable, in second segment I2 phi is continuous and derivable, and in R segment IR phi is continuous and derivable, and in nth segment IN phi is continuous and derivable. Therefore, by Lagrange's mean value theorem, in every segment there exists a point xi1 in first segment, xi2 in second segment, xir in R segment, and so on, xin in nth segment, satisfying the condition phi of xr minus 1 by xr minus 1 is equal to phi dash of xir for xir belong to rth segment, or that is r subinterval xr minus 1 comma xr. So I have showed you how the conditions are being satisfied by the points xi1, xi2, so on up to xin in every segment, right? So till now we have brought the condition phi dash of xir is equal to phi of xr minus 1 by xr minus xr minus 1 using this Lagrange's mean value theorem, and by using the continuity and derivability of phi in close interval a comma b, and in turn in every segment IR for R equal to 1, 2, 3, so on up to n, right? So if we go on simplify this phi dash of xi r, we can obtain the result which we need to prove, right? So on simplification, if we cross multiply this xr minus 1 to this phi dash of xi r, we get phi of xr minus phi of xr minus 1 is equal to xr minus 1 into phi dash of xi r. So see here, what is xr minus 1? It is length of r segment. This can be written as delta r. This can be written as delta r. Therefore, phi of xr minus 1 is equal to delta r into phi dash of xi r. Right. Next, what will happen? Let us see. Now applying summation as r equal to 1 to n to this equality on both sides, right? So see here. Now what we have got? We have got summation r equal to 1 to n phi of xr minus 1, right, is equal to summation r equal to 1 to n phi dash of xi r into delta r. Phi dash of xi r into delta r. As we know that phi dash of x, is equal to f of x. Therefore, this phi dash of xi r can be written as f of xi r, as phi is primitive of this f of x, right? Since from 1 now. So here we have made a slight change by putting phi dash of xi r, right, or f of xi r instead of phi dash of xi r, right? Now expanding the terms on left hand side for r equal to 1 to so on up to n, we get phi of x1 minus phi of x0. It is the first for r equal to 1. Phi of x2 minus phi of x1. It is for r equal to 2, and so on up to. It is for r equal to n. Phi of xn minus phi of xn minus 1. Therefore, if we go on subtract the positive terms and negative terms, only two terms will be left over. Those are phi of xn minus phi of x0 on left hand side. It is equal to summation r equal to 1 to n f of xi r into delta r. F of xi r into delta r. Now applying this limit norm p tends to 0 on both sides. Limit norm p tends to 0 on both sides. So as phi of xn is a constant and phi of x0 is a constant, and limit of a constant term is again a constant, that is on left hand side phi of xn minus phi of x0 will be left over, and on right hand side you have to see the symbolic representation of limit norm p tends to 0 summation r equal to 1 to n f of xi r into delta r. As we know that this representation is integral over a to b f of x dx, integral over a to b f of x dx. And let me see, or let us see what will happen in the next step, right? See here. Now see here, on left hand side this phi of xn minus phi of x0 should be written, but as we know that xn is b and x0 is equal to a, we have taken it as phi of b minus phi of a, and on right hand side we have taken this representation as integral over a to b f of x dx. As we know that, right, limit norm p tends to 0, right, this summation r equal to 1 to n f of xi r into delta r is equal to integral over a to b f of x dx, integral over a to b f of x dx. Therefore, on right hand side here in this step we have got integral over a to b f of x dx, right? So what is integral over a to b f of x dx? It is equal to phi of b minus phi of a. So it is the theorem which is to be proved in the statement. So this theorem is being proved. See the statement. The statement is if f is Riemann integrable and phi is a primitive of f, then integral over a to b f of x dx is equal to phi of b minus phi of a.